Are you wondering what will happen to unemployment, particularly in IT, since this is an IT specific channel? It is no secret that the unemployment rates are set to increase. This is a way of controlling the unusual inflation that we are experiencing currently in the US. Now, the question is, what will be the impact on those working in IT with this possible increase in unemployment rate? My name is Riaz Yusuff. I'm a Chief Information Officer at Harper. Please note that information that I am going to share here is my personal opinion and has nothing to do with my employer or employment. What we are going to see in the next several weeks or few months is a shift in the economy and the job market. Interest rates are increasing, the stock market is struggling, housing market and the job market are cooling down. All of this is connected to the rate of unemployment. The market is going to shift from an employee market to an employer market. As this shift is happening, it is essential for you to be prepared to embrace the change if and when it happens. When companies look for ways to cut down their cost, they do this broadly in three ways. Number one, by eliminating underperforming cost centers. What they do is they look for departments or divisions or cost centers that are not performing well, and it makes an easier choice for them to, not so much easier, it makes a logical sense for them to cut down those cost centers to save costs for them. That's number one way of companies doing it. So if you are working in one of those cost centers, when you have a good idea that those cost centers are not performing well, they are not contributing much to the bottom line of your business, then you should have an idea that your job is likely to be impacted. When that happens, they sometimes give an option for employees to move around to other cost centers where there are openings. But obviously, they can't take all the employees that they are laying off from one cost center into all other cost centers, because that defeats the whole purpose of cutting down the cost. So if at all they're able to absorb some of those employees, it is going to be minuscule compared to the total number of employees in that particular cost center. So just be prepared that if you think you are one of those cost centers, then your job might be impacted. The second way that the companies try to eliminate or try to cut down costs is by eliminating non-critical positions. So I mean the jobs that are not critical for the company, right? So if your job is one of those non-critical jobs, then you should be on the alert. You should be on the lookout for your position could be impacted, possibly to be impacted by a possible layoff. And if that were to happen again, if you have good connections within the company, you might be able to move on to a different department, to a critical position, or that may not happen. So you just have to be prepared and be on the lookout. That is why I'm sharing this information. Now, the third way that the companies eliminate or reduce cost is by eliminating non-critical people. So the previous one I mentioned is non-critical position, not necessarily people. Then this particular one is eliminating non-critical people, meaning the people that are not contributing a lot to the organization. And this particular category is subdivided into two categories. One is newer employees, because newer employees didn't have a chance to acclimate to the company yet. They are new, they are still learning. So obviously they become choice for the companies, unfortunately. And the other category is non-performing employees, whether new or tenured, it doesn't really matter here. If an employee is not performing, then if the company is looking to cut some people to save cost, and these or one of the peoples that they could look into. So here, what you can do is, if you're a newer employee, if you just took on a job, there isn't much you can do. You already changed the job. You just have to try your best to perform your best. And if you're a non-performing employee, and if you already know that, just don't let that continue. Right? Make some changes. Start improving your performance. Start contributing more. One thing I would suggest, in all of the people that think you're falling in any of these categories I just mentioned, is that go talk to your managers. You should be having your one-on-ones already with your supervisors. When you talk to your managers, supervisors, ask them the question of how are you doing? What do you think? Be proactive, right? So go and ask your boss whether or not you are meeting his or her expectations. If not, what can be done to course correct yourself? So by showing some proactiveness, you have the likelihood of getting on the list of employees that could be saved, right? So the actions that the companies are going to take are not because they want to do it, but because they're forced to cut down the cost because of the shift in the economy. So they are left with very little choices. So you have to make it a hard decision for them to eliminate you, to lay off you. So you can only do that by working hard, by proving yourself. So you might have worked smart so far, which is fine, which works great in the employee market. In the employer market, it is not enough if you work only smart. Sometimes you also have to work harder than others in your team, so that you shine, you rise up to the level in the eyes of your leadership, so you get a chance to stick around, to stay with the company. The other thing that you should consider is, since COVID, many employees are still doing their jobs remotely. If you are remote, consider going into the office more often than how many ever days you're doing now. Especially if your team is on site more than you are. So that's when, because if you're doing more remote days than your team is, then again you are removing yourself, you are distancing yourself from rest of your team, and that makes it an easier choice for the leadership when the push comes to shove to possibly put you on the elimination list. So that's another thing that you should consider. Hope all these suggestions are helpful. If you have any additional ideas or comments in regards to how to tackle this possible raise in unemployment that's coming and it's around the corner, please share your ideas and comments in the comment section. Thanks for watching. Until next time.